turret.
There's that turret. I mean, that was key for us, was that ability to bring it into the modern era, but make sure that gameplay is the same. Because, you've got your favorite memories of Halo 2.
Oh, I sure do.
I've got mine, and we want to enhance those memories. We don't want to take them away.
Right.
So that gameplay is identical. It's how you remember.
Charge that up. Charge it up and let her go.
Here we go.
There we go, yeah. God, it looks so great. Now this is a little different, because there used to be an energy sword.
Good eye, yeah. So this is one of the changes we made here is we've replaced the energy sword with the rocket launcher.
Okay.
And
in this particular map.
In this particular map.
Right.
And we've had a tremendous amount of fun. We had some pros playing this map.
I want to see the needler. I need to see
I
Pink
think we
Mist.
just passed it. Yep, there it is.
So there. Oh,
there it is.
That's great.
I mean, what's great here is you're also, we're not hearing it now, but we've redone the audio as well. Okay. So you're not just getting these new visuals. We've re-recorded the weapon sounds, even like the footfalls, the music. So the game just sounds better than it ever has. It looks better than it ever has. And it's just an amazingly fun map.
Now, you talked about remastering, obviously visually remaster it in the audio. I mean, how difficult is that to go in and kind of, work on these iconic moments and the map flow and so forth? I mean, because you talked a little bit earlier, we were talking off the air about Max.
Yep.
Let's talk about Max Hoberman, which some people may not know, but they certainly know his work.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you played the original Halo 2, you know Max's work. Max was the original multiplayer. Max Hoberman at Certain Affinity, who worked with us on these 6 new maps.
Right.
Max was the original multiplayer designer on Halo 2, so it was a great experience. As soon as we started this project, I flew down to Austin, and Max and I were just chatting.
So Max has his own company now.
Yes, which is Certain Affinity, located down in Austin. We've been working with them for years.
Now, what was it like to go to Max and go, hey, Max, remember that map you made about 10 years ago? How about you redo it?
It was wild, right? I mean, Max just geeked out immediately because we were just sitting having a drink. It was like, okay, Max, what would you like to have done? And you couldn't, either because you didn't have the tech or you didn't have the time or you didn't have the tools. And it was just great because Max will just immediately start launching into stories.
Right.
And, and we couldn't do this and we didn't have time to finish that.
Right.
And, we just got into this amazing, great partnership, this great dialogue with Certain Affinity of things they wanted to do, things we wanted to do. And this is the result, right? You just got a gorgeous map that plays how you remember.
I mean, look at the walls there.
Exactly.
You see the water just coming down there.
It is gorgeous. The detail on this map is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I often say that I do think this is going to be one of the best, most popular Halo maps ever shipped.
Now, you said you're going to do 6 of them.
Yes.
So let's talk about the ones you've announced already.
Okay, so what have we talked about so far? So we talked about this. We talked about Ascension. Dennis, what were the other 2 we've announced? I don't want to get into jail here. Ascension, Sanctuary, Coagulation's the other one.
Known as Blood Gulch.
Blood Gulch.
So those oldies.
We're going to stop there because we're both worried we're going to say the wrong one.
Totally get that. But there's going to be a total of 6 eventually.
Yes.
You guys, with hand-loving care, have remade these using the power of Xbox One. And I want to be clear, this is the first time that you'll ever be able to play all of the Master Chief games, all the Halo games, on one console.
On one console, on a single generation, right? Because franchise has been around a long time and it has spanned so many consoles.
Right.
So when we started working on this project, that was a big part of it. Like, how do we take all of these games and bring it to one console? It's a tremendous opportunity.
I see a reset here, so we're coming back down. Yeah.
And what's great about the Xbox One, we have so much more power to work with.
Right.
I mean, we couldn't do this before, right? Like, people get excited about all of the games unlocked, everything on one disc. And this is really something we couldn't do before the Xbox One.
Well, I got to tell you, I have not had a chance to get hands-on time with this game yet because you guys have been real busy. But I was downstairs where you're setting up where people are going to get their hands on, and at Gamescom, people were geeking out over the menu system.
It's funny, we liked it. We're like thrilled. People are so excited about that menu system. But there's just something so powerful to people, I think, emotionally, just looking at it and saying, like, it's all here.
And let's talk about that real quickly. I mean, I don't know if you, Dennis, if you can back out and show it, but it allows you to go into different playlists, right?
Absolutely.
And talk about that.
One of the advantages we've got of unlocking everything at the beginning is we can create some really fun playlists. So you can move through the game however you want.
Oh,
everything's
look at that screen.
unlocked.
That's so beautiful.
But by having the playlist, we can do things like, okay, we're going to have playlists where you play all the vehicle missions from Halo 1 through 4, just back to back.
Okay.
Or, all of the space missions, or all of the Warthog missions, or I think Dennis's personal favorite, where we've just got start the first level at Halo 1, work all the way through to the end of Halo 4, just like in one power grind through the whole thing. So, and we're going to have more of those after we launch as well.
Right. Well, we're probably going to, we don't know. Unfortunately, I just got the note here in my ear that we're out of time. So, if you're coming to Gamescom, just remember that but you are going to be able to play this on the floor. You can check out the menu system yourself.
Check it out. Yeah, you can come. You can play Ascension and Sanctuary.
And the game itself. So you'll have Ascension
and Sanctuary playable on the floor. Yeah, come check it out. We're going to be running matches Wednesday right through the end of the show.
Yeah, this is unbelievable. So I want to thank you for coming by. Awesome for you to come directly right above us and run down here to join us.
It's a nice run.
All right, Graham, you've got some new stuff going on right over there with Forza. Is that right?
That is right, Larry. Thank you, Dan, and thank you, Dennis, as well. Dennis didn't die once in that whole level. That is some mad skills. Well done, Dennis. Well done. All right, I am here with Ralph Fulton. He is the creative director from Playground Games, and we're going to talk about Forza Horizon 2. How are you, Ralph?
I'm great. How are you?
I am good. Congratulations on a great show in there, in the briefing.
Thank you.
Looks absolutely incredible. I have to try not to be too sycophantic here because you know I'm a massive Horizon fan. Let's take a step back first of all, right? When you came out the back of Forza Horizon 1, what were the first things on the list for you that you wanted to address?
That's a great question. I mean, I guess the first thing we knew was that the next one was going to be on Xbox One, an entirely new platform, more power, better graphics architecture. So that was a whole world of opportunity which opened up for us, allowed us to be really creative with our thinking around visuals, around Horizon beauty, around making this game more social, more connected. But one of the things that we really wanted to concentrate on with this game was to create a truly open world. Yeah. You know, make sure that there were no barriers, no walls where they don't exist in real life, and really give the player the opportunity to drive wherever he wants, to go, explore, discover whatever he wants.
All right, magic. And it shocked me when I heard that Forza Horizon took 18 months to develop. I mean, that seems like a bit of a superhuman effort. You know, have you been able to relax into Horizon 2 a little bit more?
There's been no relaxing, I could absolutely tell you that. Yeah, I mean, I think Horizon is an achievement that I'm personally incredibly proud of. I'm incredibly proud of the team. But I feel like we've gone on from strength to strength. I think we've really got into our stride with Xbox One now. We're really getting a hang of that as a platform. And I think the visuals and the gameplay really tell that story in Horizon 2.
Magic. All right, so let's have a look. You know, we've got this is the Gamescom demo of
That's
Horizon
right,
2
on the show floor,
running
playable
right here.
for everyone here.
Fantastic. So this is the demo that everyone coming to Gamescom will be able to play on the Xbox booth. Talk us through a little bit about what we're seeing here and some of the things we should be looking out for.
Absolutely. So we're on an awesome street race from the festival, which is now located in the south of Tuscany in northern Italy. It's one of the two countries we feature in Horizon 2. And Andy is driving the Lamborghini Huracan, I believe it's pronounced, which is our hero car, our cover car. He's driving down to the coast. And as you can see, he's on road, but he's also going cross country as well, because that's part of that Horizon freedom that we're trying to create everywhere in the world.
So Horizon has come to Europe, which I think is great news. You can see why. I mean, these roads are incredible. You've got a mix of kind of fields and vineyards, and we'll see some cliff roads in the later in the demo as well. What kind of choices did you make? Why did you settle in northern Italy and the south of France?
Well, you know, both the south of France and the north of Italy were individual locations we considered for the first game. Actually, and eventually Colorado won out. But when we came to consider where we were going to set this game, we thought, you know, we have a bigger world now. We have more power at our disposal. Why not throw a net over both of those areas? So we're in the south of France. We're in the Côte d'Azur. Then we go across the border into northern Italy. And as you say, incredible driving roads. Phenomenal scenery, one of the most beautiful parts of the world, and incredible diversity as well, you know, and the types of explore not just rural locations but the city of Nice as well.
And diversity in locations, diversity in weather as well, right? We're seeing the dynamic weather in action here. Talk us through this.
Before our very eyes, yeah, we're absolutely delighted to be bringing dynamic weather to Forza for the very first time. It's something that we've really wanted to do. It's something that the fans have been asking us to do for a long time. We're delighted to be delivering it in Horizon 2. And you know what? It's a system which really leverages Xbox One, the power that we've got. We've built it specifically for this console, so it's really sophisticated next-gen stuff. We actually simulate the entire atmosphere, the particles within it.
Like rainbows.
Down to mathematically correctly modelled rainbows.
Okay. Will there be double rainbows in Forza Horizon 2?
I cannot reveal that at this time.
Okay, that's probably a deal breaker for me, so we should talk about that later. But what implications does it have for gameplay when you bring in the dynamic weather?
Right. So it's not just changing the visuals, which it does, you know, from minute to minute as you're driving around. It's also changing up the driving experience as well, as you'd expect. So it's Forza, so all of our 200 plus cars handle the wet differently, all the tyre compounds handle the wet differently, and of course it's changing that racing experience, particularly if you're in cockpit cam. You know, you have the rain beating on the windscreen, your windscreen wipers on full, spray being kicked up by the car in front. You're really getting a changing driving experience. It's very challenging and a lot of fun.
All right, very good. So how did we get on here then? Doesn't look
Second
too
place.
good. I mean, I know we've got customization and personalization in Horizon 2, but that's probably
I'm
not
sure
the type we're
Lamborghini are
looking
going
for.
to be happy with that.
Anyway, let's get into what you talked about today in the briefing. The most social racing game ever. That's a bold claim, Ralph.
Right, yeah, absolutely. But you know what? As I said on stage, I think we have a feature set that bears that claim out. You know, it's something we said right from the start of the project. Let's make, first of all, an experience which is truly next gen in an online sense. Because Horizon is a social experience. Festivals, car culture, they're all very social. We want people to enjoy the game with their friends. So really our entire social feature set is about allowing people to do that in a way they feel comfortable with and in any way they want, really. So you could be playing asynchronously with people who aren't even online. Drivatars are other people's representations of themselves in your world. But then when you want to jump online, as we saw in that video documentary we showed on stage, it is instant, it is seamless. And we're trying to just knock down that barrier between solo play and online play and allow you to get into the action as if you were switching channel on a television.
You mentioned Drivatars. I wanted to ask you about that. They felt like a real game changer in Forza 5. How are you bringing them to Horizon 2?
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and I've told a lot of people about the day we switched on Drivatar technology in Horizon 2, and you know our races changed instantly, you know, because it's a very sophisticated AI system. What's happened more gradually, but I think is even more profound over the months since, is as people have started playing our game, their Drivatars now populate my world. And it's not just the way they drive, it's where they drive, and it's their personalities expressed through their cars. The cars they've chosen, the way they've painted them, the way they've tuned them. So every morning when I switch on my console at work, my world is full of personality, and that for me is the special thing about Drivatar.
All right, so which car are we going to choose this time? We've got an Aston. Looks good. Let's take that. Let's talk about online road trip and free ride. You mentioned them, or they were mentioned in the video that was shown during the briefing. They both sound great. Tell us more about
That's
them.
right, yeah. And really our goal here is to give people options in the way they play online. So online road trip is a very directed tour of the world. Everybody in the session is taken to a destination. They'll compete in a championship there, and when that's finished, the winner is crowned and everyone votes on where to go on to next. In online free roam, we really want you to make your own fun. So we make everything that's available in the solo game available online. So you can do races, you can do playground games, you can do cooperative bucket list challenges. It's all there. You can even go and find collectibles, hunt for barn finds with your friends. However you want to play the game, we're enabling you to do it with your friends online.
So let's talk about those barn finds and the collectibles. I mean, that was one of the best things about Horizon, in my opinion, is just pootling around the world, knocking all those things off the list. They're back for Horizon 2, right?
They're back, and I think they're better than ever. So we've taken the opportunity to refresh those cars. So now more than half of them are cars you will never have seen before in the Forza franchise, which makes it extra special when you discover them. I guess the trade-off there is that with our truly open world, we have just so much more space to hide those barns in.
Right.
I think it's going to take you a little bit more time to find them, but you know, it's really going to be worth it to find one of those unique, never before seen in Forza cars and restore it to pristine.
Okay, so let's talk about cars. We've got 200 in the game.
200 plus available
200 plus,
from
sorry.
September 30th for everyone.
All right, so tell me, call out some of your highlights, your favourites,
Well,
and some interesting stuff we're going to see.
So my favourites are the interesting ones. You know, I mean, it's great to have the Lamborghini Huracan as our cover car. I think people are going to be excited to play it. It's never been in a game before. We have some extreme off-roaders as well, as it befits our truly open world and the all-terrain nature of it. We have the Dodge Ram Runner. We have the Local Motors Rally Fighter. Really challenging off-road cars. But my favourites are the cult classics, the personality cars. We have a 1945 Willys Jeep. We have a 63 Volkswagen camper van. These are great fun cars to upgrade, maybe to engine swap, and then take out on the road.
And of course, you're getting all that amazing Forza detail we're used to. Can we switch back to in-car? As I know the hardcore Forza fans love this. Windscreen wipers occurred to me the other night. If you're chucking in dynamic weather, you have to think about windscreen wipers quite a lot, I bet, right?
They all move now, and that's one of the things that we have to do to make a car horizonified. We actually call it in the studio. There's a whole bunch of tasks that we have to do. We have to animate the windscreen wipers, and you will not struggle to believe that all of them are animated in exactly the correct way. But we also make the dash illuminate, again, as the real car will. We have to make it get wet, so inside and out. Our audio guys tell me that we have different sound effects for the windscreen wipers, whether you're inside the car or outside.
Nice.
That's the detail we go to.
That's amazing. So let's talk about off-road as well. Again, one of the really important parts of Horizon 1. It's back, I guess, right?
It's back, and we're doing lots more of it. And the map is, I think, 3 times bigger in terms of the drivable space. You know, and that's not necessarily roads. That's fields of crops. That's vineyards. That's forests and hills. And once you get into the game, once you really get into the flow of it, we're really teaching you to go off the beaten track, to find the best route to wherever you're going. Forza has done a great job of training people to follow the green line over the years. We're kind of disabusing you of that notion a little bit and encouraging you to find your own route. And it's just crazy fun to barrel over hills and through fields, going to your next destination.
And the thing we really have to drive home here is that we came first that time. Nice, getting warmed up.
He can stay.
So you're going to be able to do all of this in car clubs as well, right?
Right, yeah, so 2 great online features which aren't perhaps your traditional competitive online features. They're more about socializing, meeting people, making new friends, we hope. So clubs is one. We allow up to 1,000 people to join a club. So maybe you're part of an existing social network, you can just transplant that into the game. Maybe you want to build up a massive club that can compete on the global leaderboards. Again, you can do that. But if you want to have a club of 5, of 10, of 20 people, it's entirely up to you. Clubs are a really flexible tool to let you socialise and play the game how you want. And then online car meets, I think, are really awesome, inspired by real-life car meets. Yeah. You just rock up at one of these meets in your car, and you're automatically driving into an online session with real people that you can chat to, you can share tips, you can compare your cars, you can race, you can all drive off into the online game together.
Okay. We can't talk about Horizon without talking about music. It's such a powerful part of the first game. You know, for me, that Porter Robinson track, whenever I hear that, it just instantly takes me back to Horizon 1. What's the plans for Horizon 2? And, you know, what can you tell us any tracks you've got in there?
Yeah, well, we're going to be talking about the specifics of the track list really soon, in the next couple of weeks, but I totally agree with you. For me, music is incredibly important to Horizon. The guy who curated the first soundtrack, Rob DeBank, he's back on board. He did such a phenomenal job the first time, we had to ask him back, and this time we've given him even more license to be creative, to identify new acts, new songs. We have twice as many radio stations this time, we have twice as much music, so there's just lots of diversity, some classic acts, some classic tracks, but also some really cutting edge stuff, which is really just making it to festival stages and radio playlists right now, and we'll continue to do so after launch. And I think you're going to find lots of tracks like that Porter Robinson one in the new game, which becomes synonymous with this one.
Magic. Ralph, when will we be able to play Forza Horizon 2?
It's available everywhere from September 30th. It's going to be October 2nd in Germany, October 3rd in UK.
Magic. Thank you very much, Ralph. Really appreciate it. If you're coming to Gamescom, you'll be able to play Forza Horizon 2 this week. Now we're going to hand over to Larry, who is talking to someone who I think you'll find very familiar.
All right. Thank you very much, Graham. First of all, I want to just get a shot of this. What you're looking at right now is that COD console that we just announced less than an hour ago right on the main stage here. This is the main floor of the showcase where folks can get invited guests and press can get hands-on. Wanted to make sure you guys saw that. But I am here with the creative director of Remedy, Sam Lake. Sam, how are you?
Great.
Yeah.
It's wonderful to be here, Larry, and nice to see you again.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to see you. Now, you and I were chatting because I was like, boy, there's nothing like live TV, and then you said, yeah, there's nothing like being on stage with a live briefing. How was that? That was exciting, wasn't it?
That was cool, and it went well.
Yeah.
You know, we were knocking on wood quite a few times because it's a live demo, and you know, those pesky Morag Solutions enemies were really hard trying to kill Jack and Oz.
Yeah.
But he did well.
Now let's talk about, for those, maybe some folks are tuning in right now, they haven't seen it yet, so kind of talk through it. I know we're going to take a look at some of it on screen here.
Yeah.
What did folks see today? What did you announce?
Well, we haven't really before shown any action gameplay, and it's an action game. So we've been dying to do that for a while now, and now we finally had a chance to do that. So that was the focus today.
I mean, you can see right here where things are kind of breaking down.
That's sure.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. This is
there's kind of key takeaways really with Quantum Break. Time is breaking down,
right?
Because of a failed time travel experiment, and our hero Jack Joyce, who gets blasted by the failed experiment, gains the power to manipulate time. So time breaking down, and with that, dangerous stutters in time, where time either freezes and shifts and collapses. These frozen moments can collapse, leaving you in a really, really dangerous situation. Or then you have just timelines caught in violent, destructive loops crashing into each other.
Right. Now, I know you and I were going back and forth on Twitter a little bit. You know, I was tweeting that you were on stage. We're going to be talking with a lot of questions. You saw some of the questions as well. So where do we even start? But what was the clear focus for today's gameplay and what you were showing? What were you trying to accomplish?
Well, really the core of the game. And this is a cinematic action game. And Jack has multiple time manipulation powers that he can use and the player can use.
Yep.
We have time rush, where you can dash through the battlefield while time is standing still. And obviously, kind of this results in exciting cat and mouse gameplay as you know, the enemies lose the track of you when you do this. And then they are looking for you, and you can surprise them, and you can kind of, as the game goes on, master that. Obviously, then Jack can also stop time in a focused area, freezing objects and opponents. There is also an added layer to that kind of going on. If you shoot bullets into this area of frozen time, they become unstable, and when that frozen time bubble collapses, they get an extra boost. So there is an additional gameplay advantage there. You know, all of these time powers, we start out easy and fun. They are easy to learn, but then we add more depth and more power into the mix.
I want to talk to you. We only have about a minute left, but I want to talk to you about what have you learned from some of the previous Remedy games. I mean, it feels like this is taking a lot of what you've learned before and brought it into this game. So can we talk about that for real quick?
That's very much the idea, to craft the ultimate Remedy experience. I mean, obviously there is a lot of story there, a lot of depth, but we love to talk about our stories, but this time around we made this decision that we are not going to do that. We are focusing on gameplay. Right. But obviously all of that's there, and iterated on and finding the best pacing for storytelling in interactive environments, and then really, you know, taking what we learned from Max Payne gameplay and Alan Wake gameplay, and you know, bringing some of those elements, but pushing it further.
Yeah, it's awesome. We got to go in just a half a minute here, so let's tell. What do you want folks to know? What do you want to leave them with?
Obviously, we'll be here at Gamescom the whole week.
Yep.
We have a bigger demo.
Yes.
We are showing even more. So you know, on the show floor, look us up and come check it out, because there is more.
You heard it here first. You're going to see more Quantum Break on the show floor at Gamescom. Sam Lake, Creative Director of Remedy, thank you for coming by. Graham, I think you're over on the other side. You ready to show us what's up next?
I'm Larry, thank you very much. Sam Lake, what a dude. But speaking of dudes, I am here with Thomas Mahler from Moon Studios. How are you, Thomas? Another great showing for Ori and the Blind Forest at Gamescom.
Yeah, it was incredible.
How did it feel?
Absolutely incredible. We wanted to show some more gameplay this time around, and I think what people have seen is a really frantic, great moment in the game. So yeah, it was exciting.
It was frantic, and that's a real counterpoint to what we saw at E3, right?
Yeah, I mean, at E3 we wanted to kind of like introduce the characters and give people a little bit of an introduction to Ori, but then, you know, we heard some voices like, hey, you know, show us some more gameplay, some more abilities and so on, and we just quickly wanted to show, to get that out.
Okay, so we're going to do that. In fact, we have all new gameplay here today, but let's take a little step back first, right? Let's think back to E3. In the midst of what was a really bombastic, loud, explosive press conference, Ori and the Blind Forest was a real moment, right? It was a real feels moment.
It was incredible. It was so quiet in the room when we actually shown it, and the response that we got was absolutely fantastic.
Give us an introduction to Naru and Ori, right? So that E3 trailer was very narrative focused, it felt like. Tell us a little bit about the story and what we were seeing there.
Well, Ori and the Blind Forest actually starts with Ori's birth, right? Like I always like stories that have this great, you know, like beginnings, middles, and actual ends, right? And you see this entire character arc. We don't want to give too much away in terms of like the story yet, but Ori is being raised by Naru, and loses her relatively early in the story, but then has to go out and but then has to go out and kind of like find out more about himself and about the forest that he lives in.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's go and look at some gameplay. So this is brand new, never seen before gameplay.
This is one of my favorite sections in the game. It's the Chinzo tree, where we're also showing one of the abilities that are really, really cool in the game. Gennady just learned the bash ability, and the bash ability, as you see, allows you to propel yourself from basically anything in the game. Like here, he will propel himself from an enemy in the game, but then you also can bash yourself from anything pretty much. Like up there's a challenge where you actually have to bash yourself off of projectiles, right?
Okay.
And then in order to make things a little bit more complicated, you can also redirect projectiles, and you see he is actually going through these kind of like gameplay challenges by completely using the bash mechanic. And that's what we kind of are looking for. When we actually started developing the game, we just made videos of hey, what hasn't been done yet in a 2D platformer before, right? Mm-hmm. And we just had a video where we saw Ori kind of like kicking off from enemy to enemy and so on, and that's what the Bash was inspired by.
Brilliant. And shout outs to Gennady, by the way, who's playing for us. Thank you, mate. Doing a great job. So, you mentioned there about things that you've never seen before in platform games and working on them. There's clearly a lot of platform game inspiration going into Ori. Like, what kind of games have you looked at, and what were your inspirations?
Well, a lot of these 8 and 16-bit games are really what we were inspired by, right? We grew up with them, and it was so cool, being at school the next day and talking about them. Obviously, kind of like the Marios and so on, that kind of stuff. And we feel like these kind of games, like that's a little bit missing right now in the industry. So we wanted to come out with a game that really gives you that sort of feeling again. So I hope that people get that.
That's a tricky balance to get, right? To get that old school, that pixel perfect platform action feel, but then do something new and change it up a little bit. So that's a big challenge.
Right. But that's exactly what we wanted. We wanted people to really feel again that that this absolute pixel precision, and then also introduce a lot of variety, right? Like I love these games from Nintendo back then, where they put in ideas that other developers would have made 5 games with, and it's just really cool to kind of like look at the entire game now and see, oh my god, this is a big game, and we have so much variety in it. It's great.
So tell us about the enemies that we're seeing in this level.
So
where have these enemies come from?
So this here is more of a kind of like a challenge area. So in terms of like the pacing of the game, we're always kind of like switching up between platforming and more puzzly bits, and then also enemy gameplay and so on. So we always want to make sure that the player always stays entertained, right? That it's not like, oh, this is repeating itself or anything like that in there.
Okay. So what other abilities is Ori going to learn as you play through the game?
There's a ton of abilities. We just basically, as we said, like we made videos at the start where we just wanted to see what hasn't been done yet in a 2D platformer. We don't want to give too much away. We want to stay focused on the bash ability because it's really, really great right now.
Oh, come on, Thomas. Tell us some more. Come on. I know you're fun.
You will see more in the upcoming weeks.
Absolutely. I actually want to talk to you about your team at Moon Studios. I find it fascinating that this is being developed kind of remotely, right? Your team is spread all over the world.
Yeah. So, I've been working in the industry for some time now, and I've always kind of like seen this issue of, oh, we have this really great person and we want to hire him, but then we can't get the person because he's in a different country or anything like that, right? When I approached Microsoft regarding Moon Studios, I told them, look, I know all these great people, but they're scattered all around the world. And they were okay with it, right? And now Moon is basically a studio where we have people in Austria, in Germany, in Israel, in the States, in Australia, in the Netherlands, in Denmark, in everywhere. We just try to really find the right people for the job.
And it seems to be coming together amazing. Me and my wife find it hard to make beans on toast when we're in the same room. So creating this when you're working remotely is ridiculous. And so talk to me about the art style as well, because the game looks absolutely beautiful, and it looks different to what we've seen before. There's a real kind of painterly aspect to this. Is that something you've been aiming for?
We like initially the art style, we had 2 major goals, right? We wanted it to obviously like look beautiful, but then at the same time we also wanted to make sure that it's absolutely 100% clear. Like I like the Nintendo clearness, when it comes to kind of like Mario, like knowing exactly which pixel you're actually going to land on and so on, right? Yeah. So to me, like I worked as an artist in the industry, to me for like 10 years or so, right? For me, it was always clear that, hey, we would make something beautiful, right? But I think the thing that we're really proud of is that it's also always completely crystal clear what you actually have to do, where you're actually going to land. Just this precision that, you know, that used to be the norm, the status quo, to bring that back, that was super, super important for us.
Talk to us about what we just saw there. I mean, that looked like a kind of mid-level boss battle. Are you bringing boss battle story?
There are challenges like that. I mean, in terms of like boss battles,
look at this. This looks incredible.
Yeah. In terms of boss battles, we wanted to stray away from the kind of like from the traditional setup of, hey, here's a boss, here's some character that we're introducing, and shoot him 3 times in the eye, right, and then he's dead. And you're gonna see a moment here, and we've seen it kind of like at the Gamescom stage where we have moments that are completely frantic, that are completely crazy, where you have to use the abilities that you just learned in order to actually advance through the game, right? And we're doing this in multiple ways, a couple of times, and yeah, we think that this works way, way better than the old kind of like, you know, tried kind of like trope of like, oh yeah, here's some character that you have to defeat.
Yeah, totally. It's big, so I need to look for the weak spot. One of the things I found interesting, I guess, one of the arts of making a good platform game must be choosing your save points carefully. And you've got around that in a really interesting way, right?
We came up with something very, very interesting, which is the soul link, right? Like, we initially, when we started developing it, we just kind of like had these checkpoints set throughout the game. But then we thought, hey, it would be much, much more interesting if we actually tie this to the resource system, right? To the energy crystals and so on. So you can actually, in Ori, save any time that you want, but it's going to cost you resources, right? So now, as a player, you have to face the challenge of, well, do I use my energy for the attacks that I have, for the abilities that I have, or do I actually use it for the soul link? And the soul link is also where you can actually progress, upgrade, that kind of stuff.
Now the E3 trailer, you know, looked quite serene. I mean, it got a bit dark towards the end, but we're talking about a real challenge with this game, right? You're really ratcheting up the difficulty as you go through the game.
It's not completely like easy game, right? Like it's a gamer's game. We are inspired by these games of the 90s, right? Where games were actually a real challenge, right? So there's a lot of areas in the game where it's like, hey, this is actually a real challenge, right? It's not going to be something that you just you know, cruise. It's so satisfying if you go through these kind of games and you actually beat something. Like you walk into a room and you're like, oh my god, I'll never beat that, right? And then you try it and try it. Oh wow, I did that. I'm awesome. That's one of the best moments that you can have in gaming. So
one of the other great things about those gamer games, particularly platformers, was the secrets and the Easter eggs. You know, whether they were intended or not. Are you putting those things into Ori?
Like, there are areas in the game where it's like where we kind of assume that maybe 5% of people out there will find that, but I just love that. Yeah, you know, like we grew up playing games like Super Mario Bros. 3, where, you know, like you found the flutes and you felt like, oh my god, right? Yeah. So yeah, there's this kind of stuff. We're super, you know, like we love that. So
and in those days, you didn't have the internet to tell you where those things were,
exactly.
Right?
Well, that's why we have to hide it even better.
That's right. I mean, I know this is a terrible question, but how big is the game? I mean, how big are these levels and these worlds that we're looking at?
I mean, the world is pretty huge. In recent playtests, we saw people playing around 10 hours. So it's actually, I mean, it grew quite, you know, by quite a lot. And you need that for that kind of experience that we wanted to create. You really need to feel like there's an open world. There's this world that you can explore that has tons of variety. So yeah, it became a really, really big game now.
And it looks like it would be actually a great game for speedruns. Has that been on your mind?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't wait to see people actually playing through it and hopefully speedrunning through it. And we even want to do something crazy where hopefully we can do something where, hey, the first person who plays through the game without ever dying once gets a spot in the credits or something like that. Because I would love to see that. Yeah, that would be great.
Thomas, last question very quickly. Is Naru okay?
You'll have to wait and see when the game ships.
I don't think I could do it. All right, Thomas, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Everyone, we're going to hand back to Larry now for even more live gameplay. It's Sunset Overdrive.
Thank you, Thomas, and thank you, Graham. Ori cannot wait for that. All right, next up, I'm going to have Ted Price from Insomniac Games is going to be with me in just a minute to talk about Sunset Overdrive. But first, let's take a look at this cutscene.
How did you get in here?
I'm looking for a guy named Brill Cream.
Troop Master Brill Cream is missing.
Well, maybe I can help you find him.
Maybe you'll be lucky if I let you live.
Kind of a dick, huh?
Treason! Arrest 4 Kim and banish her from the troop!
Chill out, Mussolini.
I am the Troop Master, and this is my troop!
Ah, man. Are you gonna tell me where Brill Cream is, or what?
You wanna find Brill Cream? You must do as I say.
What? What was that all about? So I'm here with Ted Price from Insomniac Games, Sunset Overdrive. He'll explain. Ted, what did we just see?
We just saw the introduction to one of the factions in the game.
Okay.
This is Troop Bushido. These are adult adventurers, kind of like Boy Scouts, but they're adults who, during this apocalyptic moment in the game, took refuge in a samurai museum, and they've now adopted the samurai code, so we call them the Bushido Scouts. They're a little twisted, and you can see their leader has an issue with his authority being challenged. But they're just one example of the many factions you meet in the game.
A little twisted. I like it because everything in Sunset Overdrive is a little twisted.
A lot twisted.
We're going to get right into the gameplay right here. So why don't we show us walk us through what we're going to see.
So first I want you to check out the character that Blaine's playing here.
All right. Blaine is off here on the side playing.
And you'll notice this is a different character than the one we just saw in the video.
Right.
You have full customization over your characters in this game because in Sunset Overdrive, we want you to be who you want to be. Okay. So from the very beginning, you can choose your gender, your ethnicity. Throughout the game, you earn all sorts of vanity to outfit your character in some pretty crazy fashions. At this point, though, Blaine is moving through the world with momentum. He is grinding, bouncing, vaulting through the world, and we set up the world so that you can move very quickly through it. We wanted to move away from the traditional cover-based shooting mechanic that we're also familiar with and introduce a new paradigm to shooters.
Now, I want to talk a little bit. You talked about the customization. It's important to point out that you told me earlier off the air, customization, that doesn't impact gameplay.
It doesn't.
Right. Now, why is that? Tell me why you guys made that decision.
Well, we didn't want people to feel restricted in terms of the vanity choices that they make in the game. And again, if you want to freely express yourself, you shouldn't feel like there are negative consequences for example, choosing the quote-unquote wrong outfit.
Right.
And in this game, we really do push it when it comes to style.
Right.
We have we have a few sedate things that you might feel comfortable in.
Oh, come on. Look at this shirt, will you?
We might have this shirt in the game.
I hope so.
But we also have a lot of very avant-garde fashions. Yeah. Now, something else to notice here, when Blaine's moving through, you see those lightning bolts?
Yep.
What he's doing is
It's in the upper right-hand corner of your HUD.
That's right. He is earning style as he's moving through the game and doing more and more complex moves, such as jumping from wire to wire, bouncing on different objects, killing enemies while he's grinding or traversing. As he builds up style, he starts to activate amps. And these are special abilities that you can attach to your character, your melee, your weapons. We even have things called epic amps, which trigger at certain points and just do crazy things.
Right.
But there are many, many in the game, and you actually construct them. You craft them in the game based with stuff that you found. Now, also, you might have noticed that he just fried a whole bunch of these these mutants in the game, by jumping on a device, a trap.
Yep.
That was one of our flame traps in the game. But throughout the world is very interactive. There are tons of things that you can experiment with, play with as you're moving through the world.
Here we go. That looks like a boss.
It's a pretty nasty character. And he's tough. And unlike the guys, he's very agile. No matter where Blaine goes, he's probably going to be chased down by the Herker.
Sure.
Herker can climb on buildings. He can throw boulders at you, basically terrorize you. However, Blaine, I believe, was using the propane launcher and shooting bottles of propane at this. Well, now he's not. Now he's using the AK.
Right.
I would suggest that Blaine use a fire-based weapon because this guy is particularly susceptible to fire.
All right.
And all of our enemy factions are susceptible to various different types of weapons.
Right.
So it gives you a lot of opportunity to experiment with weapon strategy.
Now, I also want to point out that I know that the game is really about getting up off the ground. But even if you're off the ground, that doesn't mean you're safe.
Not at all. The enemies will climb. They're very agile. They'll climb after you. We have flying enemies in the game, lots of projectile enemies, and it's Varied. Again, we trying to keep you on your toes and keep you moving.
Now, how far are this particular? I love this.
Oh,
okay.
you died.
Hold on.
What?
We get to see a respawn sequence, and there we go. Oh,
Little homage to one of our favorite games.
We know what that is.
Yeah.
Every time you respawn, you'll see a different animation. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the weapons. There's a variety of weapons available in the game, obviously.
Yes.
And you guys we saw one that. Talk us through what we're seeing.
So, Blaine is using the propane launcher here, but he's also got at his disposal the TN Teddy launcher, which is something I mentioned earlier today. This is a teddy bear who's got dynamite strapped to his chest, and when you fire him out, he makes little cute sayings and he blows up. Very good to take in terms of taking out large numbers of enemies.
Right.
He could also use a flaming compensator, which is actually one of my favorites. A shotgun that will light things on fire. Great, super powerful short-range weapon. As you can see there, he just lit the hooker on fire. Another good one to use in a crowd is the Captain Ahab. Oh, Blaine, you told me that you would be able to play through on normal, no problem.
And he respawns out of a phone booth.
All right.
That's awesome.
You know what? We wanted to make dying fun.
Right, exactly.
So, but
it doesn't hurt you. I mean, you're not penalized for dying, right?
Correct, you are not.
Right. So it's you really guys did make it fun.
I think it's important to note too. This is an open world game. There are lots and lots of missions and quests that you will be going on as you explore this giant world and traverse through it in these unique ways.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about the multiplayer. We've talked about the multiplayer over the past few months, but can you give us some more details? Obviously, this is the single player, but give us some details while we're watching Blaine play.
So Chaos Squad is the name of our multiplayer mode in this game. You and 7 other friends engage in a series of randomized missions through the same open world.
Okay.
So you and 8 people are playing through the open world together, and the culmination of those missions is what we call night defense.
Sure.
When you all are getting together and defending these giant vats of overcharge from marauding OD. Throughout in those night defense rounds, if you manage to survive, you win some very cool prizes and awards that you can take back into the single player campaign.
That looks fun. Now, also earlier today, we announced the console.
That's right. Pretty exciting. The white Xbox Sunset Overdrive console. It's amazing, and all of us at Insomniac were pretty stunned and just. It's a dream come true for us.
What's he have to do here? I mean, I've seen him play this. I've seen someone play it better, but
this actually does have a big backstory behind this particular amusement park. You are helping out another one of the factions in the game called the Fargars.
Okay.
They are somebody we will go into more detail on later, but they have a problem with one of the enemy factions in the game who have stolen an important item.
Okay.
And so you've got to get the king of the Scabs, that's the name of the enemy faction, to come out from his hiding place in one of these towers. And you do so by destroying those towers, which he did, and destroying the railroad, the cars that were on the track. Here we go. King Scab.
Descend now.
Nice job, Blaine. Well done.
Well done, Blaine.
Now, if Blaine wanted to, he could just jump right into Chaos Squad from his single-player campaign. Throughout the world, we've got Chaos Squad photo booths that you can step into and immediately join a party and start a game in the same world.
Yeah.
Multiplayer.
So we announced a lot. I mean, we've got the customization, you've got all the different multiplayer elements. I mean, there's so much more to Sunset Overdrive, right?
There is. And there's a lot where we're always very careful to reveal more and more as we get closer to launch.
Right. Now, I mean, this is. How would you describe this? Is this an open world game? We're looking at some folks right behind us who are actually playing the game. You can probably see them up there. So you're going to have hands-on at Gamescom, right?
I believe so. Yes.
Yes, we are going to have. So if you're coming to Gamescom for public days over the next few days, we will have hands-on. You can get your hands on Sunset Overdrive. Some of what you just saw right here. So Ted, as you guys march towards the release of the game, which comes out
in America on the 28th of October, here in Europe on Earth.
And that's obviously also when the console will be available as well, right?
That's correct.
So there's a lot going on with Sunset Overdrive. All right, we have a trailer, right? Apparently we have a trailer, so we're going to show you the trailer right now. Ted from Insomniac Games, thank you for coming by to show us Sunset Overdrive. If you're coming to Gamescom, you'll have a chance to get hands-on this weekend, so do not forget that. All right, let's take a look at this brand new Sunset Overdrive trailer.
I've lost so many friends. Seen so much tragedy.
Enjoy being the first people on the planet to drink Overcharge!
Sometimes I wonder why fate chose me to live when they all died. Oh yeah, cause I'm not a dumbass. My name's Floyd. I was a head scientist at Fisco, but I decided to leave because our hunch doesn't cover this. If they had just given me a bit more time to research overcharge, I'm sure I would have figured out it would do this or that, and I definitely, probably would have caught that. But if you think their accidents are nasty, wait till you see what they're making on purpose. They've got eyes everywhere, and now they've sent in a legion of bots to, quote, liquidate their assets.
Fisco cover-up begin.
And I must say, they are efficient workers.
This is our turn.
You will die. Go ahead and check the exceeds expectations box on their year-end assassination review. Oh, damn. And there's little old you in the center of all this. But you seem to be holding your own, and ever since I crossed your path, survival has gotten a lot more survivable. But don't get cocky, stay moving and stay shooting. If you stand around, you're gonna die. And then I'm gonna die, and then I'm gonna put my ghostly foot up your ghostly... Go forth and enjoy your apocalypse. Have fun.
All right, everybody, that is it. Oh, I'm sad.
It's
that went
already.
past
It was,
fast,
it was
didn't
over
it?
so fast.
I know, that's what happens when you have all that live gameplay.
We have all these
right?
great games behind us as well, but we are out of time, Grant.
Thank you very much for joining us for our Xbox Gamescom media briefing after show. It has been a blast. I hope you've enjoyed it too.
Yep.
And I hope you enjoyed that more in-depth look at some of the big titles we've got coming this year to Xbox One.
Absolutely. Now, don't go away because we're going to be here all week. You and I are talking about how much we love Gamescom. You and I are going to be here all week. Plus, we have a special guest, right?
We do. She is so awesome. She has 4 vowels. Count them in her first name. It's
all
Aoife
of
Wilson.
The vowels.
All
How
the
are
vowels.
you guys?
We are good. How are you, more importantly?
I'm awesome. I am awesome. Well, while you guys have been sitting on your nice, fancy, comfy white sofas, I have been all around, okay? I've just got done talking to Peter Schmeichel, and then for the rest of the week, I'll be talking to all of the guys down at the floor. I'll be talking to 343 Industries about Halo. I'll be talking to Lionhead about Fable Legends. I cannot wait. It's going to be very exciting.
What have you seen that you're particularly excited about so far?
I am looking forward to Fable Legends, I gotta say, and Sunset Overdrive just looks like so much fun.
That's
so much
right over
fun.
there, Ted. I'll let you play.
I will. I sure will.
Yeah, we've got time now. We can do it. All right. I hear you saying, where can you see all this amazing Gamescom coverage? Is
Where
that what
can you
they're
see
saying?
all
I
this
think that's
amazing
what they
Gamescom
said.
coverage?
So I'll tell you, you can go to xbox.com/Gamescom. It's all there. And of course, on your Xbox 360 and your Xbox One dashboard.
Now, if Twitter's your thing, like it is for me, you can follow @Xbox, @Xbox UK, or me @Major Nelson. We'll also have updates at Xbox Wire, news.xbox.com, and on my blog at majornelson.com.
I mean, you could follow AC Bongos on Twitter and Aoife Lockhart as well.
You
I mean,
could
do
if
you
you
write
want.
this stuff? I mean, what's going on here? It's cutting us out
This is very
completely. This is
biased.
unbelievable. All right, and we'll be live streaming all week, live and direct from the Xbox booth at Gamescom on twitch.tv/Xbox.
Awesome.
So that's it, guys.
That's it,
Aoife,
we're out of
thank
time.
you for joining us right at the end.
Thank you for
That was
having me.
brilliant. I hope you enjoyed it. Have an amazing Gamescom week and stick with us on Xbox. It's going to be great.
Bye,
See you later.
everybody.
Bye-bye.